The Galaxy S26 Ultra could be the most advanced phone Samsung has ever made or the most inconsistent, depending on a decision you'll never see in the ads, the unboxing, or even the specs sheet. Two phone name, same price, but completely different under the hood. And unless you know what to look for, you might end up with the wrong one. Welcome back, viewers. Sam here. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your tech tribe, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss what the industry doesn't want you to know. Now, let's start peeling back the layers. The Galaxy S26 Ultra is expected to feature Qualcomm's latest beast, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4. But what most people don't realize is that there's a second version of that chip, and it's not made by Qualcomm. Or rather, it is, but manufactured by a completely different company. We're talking about the dual sourcing strategy Qualcomm has quietly employed for years, and it's back possibly in its most dramatic form yet. See? Qualcomm's chips are designed in-house, but the actual fabrication is handled by either TSMC or Samsung Foundry. For the past couple of years, the TSMC versions have consistently performed better. Cooler temperatures, better battery life, faster sustained speeds. So if Samsung splits chip production between TSMC and its own foundry, again, you could have two Galaxy S26 Ultras with wildly different real-world performance. Let that sink in. Imagine buying the most expensive flagship from Samsung, only to realize that your friend's phone lasts longer on a single charge, runs cooler during gaming, and benchmarks higher, all because their chip was built in a different factory. And here's the kicker, Samsung doesn't disclose this on the box. There's no label that says TSMC or Samsung Foundry, no special edition, nothing in the specs, just a quiet gamble that most consumers will never notice. But now that you know, it changes everything. According to recent supply chain leaks, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 could be one of the most complex chips Qualcomm has ever attempted. Built using the Thurn-M node, this chip promises insane power, efficiency, and performance. But Thurn-M isn't just cutting edge, it's expensive and technically brutal to pull off. That's why Qualcomm might once again hedge its bets, having both TSMC and Samsung produce batches. So far, TSMC's Thurn-M process, called N3B, has been more mature, while Samsung's version has struggled with yields and heat. If history repeats itself, the TSMC-built Snapdragon will be the one to get. But getting that chip, that's where things get tricky. Depending on where you live, which carrier you buy from, or even what color you choose, your phone could come with a different chip. Yep, it's that random. Some regions tend to get TSMC models more often, like the US, while others might see Samsung-built variants. And it's not like Samsung's going to let you choose at checkout. Now let's take a step back. Why does Samsung even agree to this? Why let Qualcomm use TSMC if they have their own foundry? Simple survival. Samsung Foundry is in fierce competition with TSMC. If it can't keep up with quality, Qualcomm will take its billion-dollar business elsewhere. So Samsung is caught in a weird situation, manufacturing chips for its own phones, but also trying not to lose that contract. It's like racing yourself. And this isn't the only time Samsung has pulled a chip swap. Remember the Exynos vs Snapdragon wars? That drama haunted the Galaxy S series for years. Now that Samsung has mostly retired Exynos from flagship S models, this new chip split might be the next controversy in line. But that's not the only twist. Another leak suggests that Samsung is still secretly working on a high-performance Exynos chip to challenge Qualcomm in the near future. And if they succeed, the Galaxy S27 Ultra might mark the return of Samsung's in-house silicon in all markets. That means the S26 Ultra could be the last flagship stuck in this chip roulette game. Let's talk numbers. According to leaked benchmarks, the TSMC-built Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 is showing scores that beat Apple's A18 Bionic in multi-core performance and efficiency. That's massive. Meanwhile, early reports of Samsung-built versions show slight throttling under sustained load, with battery drain climbing noticeably faster. But what does that mean for you? If you're a gamer, the chip in your S26 Ultra will decide how smooth your experience really is. If you're a power user who edits video on your phone, the chip will decide how hot your phone gets and whether your performance crashes after 10 minutes. If you're just someone who wants the best battery life possible, it still matters. In real-world testing, TSMC's built chips consistently last 90 minutes longer per charge. So what can you do about it? First, dig deep into teardown videos and user reports after launch. Enthusiast communities usually find ways to identify which chip you got, either through software or serial number analysis. Second, if you're pre-ordering or buying early, try to buy from regions known to get TSMC units, like North America. And third, pressure matters. The more people know about this, the more Samsung and Qualcomm will be forced to offer transparency. Remember, awareness is power. Now let's zoom out even further. This chip mystery is part of a much bigger trend in smartphones, the era of invisible differences. On paper, specs are becoming nearly identical. 200MP cameras, check. 1TB storage, check. Ultrasonic fingerprint scanner. But what separates great phones from mediocre ones in 2026 is what you can't see: chip fabrication quality, AI tuning, thermal architecture. power regulation, tiny things that make a massive difference, but never show up in marketing. And speaking of AI, Qualcomm's Gen 4 chip is expected to include the most powerful NPU in any smartphone yet. That means the S26 Ultra will be able to run large language models entirely offline, chatbots, AI photo editing, even real-time translation without needing the cloud. But again, chip quality will decide how smooth and reliable those experiences are. In fact, Samsung might double down on AI with One UI 8, with features like generative wallpapers, AI voice synthesis, and automatic scene detection in video recording. Your phone will be doing more behind the scenes than ever before. But all of that, it leans heavily on the chip's AI engine. One bad chip, and your futuristic features feel slow and clunky instead of magical. Even the camera system ties into this. The 200MP main sensor might remain, but Samsung's rumored to add new AI-based HDR algorithms that only run on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 NPU. Better low light, cinematic motion tracking, and even AI face relighting during video calls. It's all part of the S26 Ultra's vision of blending hardware and software seamlessly. But again, not all chips are created equal. Here's where things get philosophical. In a world where premium phones look the same and promise the same, trust is everything. And this kind of chip lottery quietly erodes that trust. Because if I pay $1,400 for the Galaxy S26 Ultra, I don't want a version that's slightly worse, especially if there's no way for me to know. And honestly, that's not asking for too much. Transparency should be standard at this level. We've already seen what happened with the Exynos backlash. Samsung had to pull back. The Snapdragon-only S23 Ultra was a huge win, and people noticed. So if Samsung wants to keep that goodwill going into 2026, they'll need to be clear about this chip situation, or just stick with one supplier altogether. So what's next? We're only months away from the S26 Ultra's official unveiling, likely at Samsung's February Unpacked event. By then, reviewers, leakers, and tech insiders will start identifying which version is which. And once those comparisons start hitting YouTube, it's going to blow up. Until then, all we can do is stay informed, stay sharp, and make our buying decisions wisely. This might be the year where the difference between a good phone and a great one comes down to a chip you never see, but will definitely feel. Thanks for watching, Tech Fam. Drop a comment below, would you still buy the S26 Ultra knowing this? Or will you wait for more clarity? And as always, I'll be right here breaking it all down for you. Catch you in the next one.